it looks like Saudi advisor Turki Al-Sheikh has kind of doubled back off of calling himself the face of boxing. And it leads me to this video. Ego thoughts, man. I want to give you my thoughts, just some things I was thinking about in my head, and now it's time to get it off my chest. Now, Turki Al-Sheikh, not too long ago after the Crawford-Madrimov fight, he took aim at Canelo Alvarez. He basically called Canelo a cherry picker and says like he can understand. He was taking shots. I can understand why you don't want to lose again because Bivol cooked you. He was saying stuff like that, roughly. I'm just paraphrasing. You guys can check those videos on the channel. So Canelo kind of just laughed at him, and he's back in training camp and went back to it, preparing for his Edgar Berlanga fight. To me, I think that whole situation looked bad for Turki because the bottom line is Canelo makes money too, and Canelo's a shot caller, and he is the boss. You wanted to work with him, point blank, period. And he fronted you off on the meeting, and it seems like you got angry with that because he didn't move on your time and he didn't accept the meeting or whatnot. And it doesn't really work like that. Canelo's in camp. He has another opponent, because what's the point of negotiating a Crawford fight or any fight and then you lose to Berlanga, even if it's not likely? It's boxing. Berlanga looked big next to Canelo, and he's a power puncher. So you never know what happened. People get cut. People struggle with their weight cut and have a bad cut, and then they're weak and their chin is, messed up. Come fight night, anything can happen. It's boxing, right? People just assume that everything is like all the boxes are checked, and it doesn't work like that. Actually, I know a lot of fighters personally, and it seldom works like that. A lot of times these guys are entering fights with injuries. They just can't tell nobody. So I think that was a bad move for Turki to even try to beef with Canelo. Canelo has such a fan base, and Turki's relatively new, and you want to, again, work with him. So it just looks spiteful. And then now you're saying you don't even want the fight for Crawford. And now Turki's doing spaces saying that he doesn't think that Crawford wants to fight and will accept a guy like Virgil Ortiz, which kind of makes Crawford look bad because there's some people that do want to see that fight, and he's just holding out for one guy and one guy only. I mean, is that really the thing? And Turki promised that he would provide a big fight for Crawford. So if you burn the bridge with Canelo, what big fight is it? You said that the Boots fight, and by you, I mean Turki. Turki said that the Boots fight would be a great fight with Crawford, but it's not a fight you're looking to make. It's not a top fight to you, right? So let's get this straight. You beef with Canelo, potentially burn that bridge, and Canelo already is working with PBC. So he seems happy. Point blank period, he seems happy. So he seems happy. There's no actual occurrence or any indication that Canelo would jump ship or work with Turki for sure. And he already said he didn't want to work and fight Canelo. Canelo didn't want to fight Crawford. So that's a potential option. Then you said you didn't want to work with Tim Tszyu because his team don't get it or he don't get it. That's another Crawford option. You said he won't take the Virgil Ortiz fight, and then you don't want to make the Boots fight. And this is the person in boxing that everybody was quick to anoint and say he's doing what's right for boxing and making the best fights. But I ask you guys, and it's not just like a bash session, I'm truly asking you guys in the comment, leave me a comment, what beautiful fight has already happened? Because you can't go off of a scheduled fight, because Tyson Fury and Usyk was promoted and it was scheduled, and then Tyson Fury said, "Oh, I got a big cut. I'm the Gypsy King. My eye is cut. Me eye." And then the fight got pushed back, even though it did happen. But there have been fights where the fight got canceled after it got postponed, and then it just never got rescheduled. And don't make me go through the mental Rolodex and give you guys examples. So I'm asking you politely in the comment section to all the people who are like, Turkey just gets it and Turkey, he's what's best for boxing. Explain to me what fight that you loved or what card was a phenomenal card. Because even the Crawford-Madrimov, I was actually disappointed with how the fights played out. Now, going into the fights, I was hyped to see how the fights would play out. So it's not like I went into it expecting it to bomb, but Andy Ruiz versus Gerald Miller, Andy Ruiz just looked tired the whole fight, and Miller clearly won and got robbed. So that wasn't a banger of a heavyweight fight. I can tell you a million other heavyweight fights. They even had one on the card, Jared Anderson and Bacoli. There's no way you could tell me that Miller and Ruiz is in the same vein as like a Joshua Klitschko or Bacoli versus Jared Anderson. So that fight, no. El Rayo, I understood he was playing smart and he was boxing, but he's normally a shooter and a power puncher. But because he was in there with the Wild, it looked like he studied Tank, and then he came with a different game plan to just box and make Pitbull look bad and not get greedy. Again, effective and it worked, but I expected more of a firefight. Same thing with Israel, Madrimov, and Crawford. You guys were saying that Madrimov was going to get knocked out and bodied, so I was watching to see if I'd be wrong, because I said he wasn't going to knock out Madrimov, and there were no knockdowns, no knockouts in the top 3 fights. Miller, Ruiz, you had the fight with Rayo, Pitbull, and then you had the fight with Crawford, Madrimov. So I don't think that was some legendary card. You didn't even get a knockdown in any of the fights. And you didn't even get separation in 2 of those 3 top fights, right? And then you guys look at the deeper on the card. David Morrell, I've seen him look more special than he did that given night. So outside of Bacoli and Jared Anderson, I didn't really see any fights on that card that lived up to it. A lot of people seem like they didn't like the Eminem performance from what I was reading and what you guys were saying on the watch party. They thought it was too long, the card was too long, etc. So I'm asking you guys in the comment section. People get mad at my opinion, that's cool, but you could never prove me wrong. People are saying I'm wrong, but then they won't prove me wrong. Big difference. So I'm asking, what are these legendary fights that you think Turkey has made? Because they're talking about Jaron Ennis fighting a guy he already beat in Karen Chukini or whatever his name is. I don't want to see that like that. There's so many other fights I would rather see over that. One being Boots versus Crawford. But Turkey's saying we can't get Boots and Crawford for no apparent reason. But then we can watch Jaron Ennis versus Karen and David Avocado. They're talking about Shakur Stevenson fighting Cordina. As of me recording the video, it hasn't been confirmed, but it's strong rumors in that direction. That's not a legendary fight. That's not a legendary fight. I do like Joshua Dubois, but I'm not really sold on the undercard. There's a bunch of UK fights that Americans don't really care about. The only fight I really care about is the main event, which is cool. But I'm just going off of what you guys are saying. You guys are like, this is legendary matchmaking. PBC has been doing matches that are far superior to this. Like, they had a card, and I know this is years ago, but I've been covering boxing for years. They had Mayweather and Canelo, and then the co-feature was Danny Garcia and Lucas Matisse, the top guys at 140 at the time. And Danny dropped Matisse, which nobody was really doing at that time. And it was a dangerous fight because Matisse got cracked. And then Canelo got dog walked and schooled. Even though he didn't get knocked down, Floyd put on a masterclass performance. Crawford Madrimov didn't. It was, you fought a guy with 11 fights. That wasn't no masterclass performance. He did some things well, but it wasn't like this shutout like people are making it out to be. It was a contested, highly contested fight. So I'm just asking you guys in the comment section, because you guys are the ones saying that some of these fights are legendary. I like Tyson Fury versus Usyk. I had no problem with that fight. I give credit where credit's due, but you guys give almost too much credit to anyone not named PBC, right? And you did this with Triller. You did this with Ring City. Everybody says, oh, these fights are amazing. And then the funny thing is, Crawford Madrimov, that fight happened at 54. The very next week, a non-Riyadh season sponsored fight by Golden Boy with no supporting cast undercard was much better than Crawford Madrimov. Without an Eminem performance, without a bunch of money behind it, Golden Boy put out a better fight at 154, which was Sergey Boachuk for the WBC interim title versus Virgil Ortiz. If you watch Crawford Madrimov, and I like skills and I like different styles of boxing, but entertainment wise, as a watch, some movies are better than others. Some fights are better than others. And Virgil Ortiz Boachuk, without all the gimmicks and the money behind it, was a far better fight from start to finish. Because early in the Crawford Madrimov fight, for me, it was two guys who didn't really want to take too many chances, and they were trying to capitalize off each other's mistakes. So it was really a slow burn where they were just doing some skilled stuff, trying to get the other one to overcommit and capitalize it. And it was just this cat and mouse game. Virgil Ortiz, Boachuk, they just got scrappy real quick and they got to it. And then I'm like, man, Virgil got a chin. Oh, he's durable. Oh, and then, oh, Boachuk got a chin. Oh, you know, it's just it was a different experience. So that, my friends, is boxing at its best, when you don't have to have a bunch of money behind it and Eminem mini concert and all this gimmick stuff, fireworks and big soccer stadium. You put two motherfuckers in a ring and the styles match up and they're branded people, and then you can get fireworks like that. So I think that's a testament to boxing. If you recall, Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward, that was just like a regular HBO fight that they were doing. Nobody knew that fight was going to be so legendary, so iconic, and so classic until you matched Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward, and they showed you what they were about, and they showed you that they had heart. That's boxing. You don't have to try to, it's not manufactured. And I think that's kind of what they're doing with Crawford. They're trying to manufacture him into a star, and they were trying to inject a bunch of money into him to prove a point, and it still didn't work, and it still flopped, right? And then now you're kind of stranded. Crawford versus Canelo looks even more like a pipe dream. If you're not soundly, and by soundly I mean doing what you did to the guys at welterweight, something like that, like the Mean Machine, Errol Spence performance. If you're not doing that, what you did to Sean Porter, to Madrimov at 54, who on earth really needs to see the Crawford Canelo at 168, and you're not even catching a body at 154 against a guy with 11 fights? So for me, I definitely got to see more from the Riyadh season, because you guys hyped it up like it was the only thing in boxing that was making great decisions, and I definitely don't see that. Also, the fight in the UFC, they said they were going to dominate and crush Canelo at the box office on the same day, on Mexican Independence Day, but Canelo's tickets are affordable, and him and Berlanga are doing a great job selling the fight. And the Sphere tickets, if you actually pay attention, they're having issues moving them because they're far too pricey. To get in the door initially was like $3,000, and now some of those tickets have whittled down to like $1,250 to $1,500. Why are you slashing prices already? If the Sean O'Malley card that was supposed to crush Canelo Alvarez, if that was the case, why are you slashing prices? To my knowledge, I haven't heard of Canelo Berlanga giving away tickets or slashing prices this early in the game. So the price point for the UFC Noches Riyadh season, to be honest, it looks like it hasn't been resonating with the public at that price point. And Turkey himself said he was gonna eat Canelo, and basically made it sound like Canelo's event was inferior. So I gotta see more, you know. I don't know Turkey personally, so I don't know his intent and things like that, but I feel like people in boxing are so quick to jump on bandwagons, and they have an insane recency bias to the point where, especially if it's non-PBC, they're willing to give anything a shot and overpraise stuff. And then the thing that's been rocking like PBC since 2015, giving you great, you know, Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurmans, and giving you Mayweather, Conor McGregor, and all these types of fights. You guys are acting like you're not impressed with that, but you're somehow impressed with Shakur versus Cordina. And people are saying Jaron Ennis needs to leave Showtime. For what? Okay, now you left Showtime. Let's say you're making a little bit more money, but then the matchups don't look better than your Showtime matchups. David Avocado and Karen, and then Turkey saying the Boots fight is not a top fight, even though Boots has been screaming out Crawford. I don't know, man. Looking shaky.